$500 million. Gone. Evaporated. 14 films that should have been printing money instead became cautionary tales about everything wrong with modern Hollywood. This summer wasn't just bad. It was historically catastrophic. When Pixar, the studio that made Toy Story and Finding Nemo, delivers their worst opening in company history, something fundamental has broken. When Marvel's Fantastic Four opens to $118 million and still loses money, the math isn't mathing anymore. And when Ron Howard can't get audiences to show up for a $35 million survival thriller with Ana de Armas and Jude Law, we're witnessing a seismic shift in how movies live or die. This isn't just about bad movies. Some of these films were actually good. This is about an industry that's forgotten how to promise something audiences can't wait to see, then deliver it in a way that makes them tell everyone they know. It's about studios spending Marvel money on arthouse concepts, releasing intimate dramas against superhero juggernauts, and somehow convincing themselves that brand recognition alone will save them. Today, we're dissecting the carnage with surgical precision. Every film gets the same treatment: production costs, marketing spend, opening weekend, second weekend collapse, worldwide totals, audience sentiment, and the brutal ROI math that explains why executives are updating their resumes. Then, we'll identify the 3 root causes that explain this pattern of destruction, and, most importantly, show you exactly how 3 of these disasters could have been saved with surgical changes. Here's our methodology. A film qualifies as a disaster if it hits any 2 of these metrics: worldwide gross under 1.8 times production budget, second weekend drop of 65% or worse, cinema score of B or lower, ROI under 0.9, or theater count collapse exceeding 50% by week 4. We're defining summer as Memorial Day through Labor Day, focusing on domestic performance but tracking worldwide totals. One crucial note on the economics: when we say a film needs roughly 2 times its production budget to break even, here's why. Studios split theatrical revenue with exhibitors, keeping roughly 50 to 60% domestically and 25 to 40% internationally. Marketing budgets now routinely hit 8 or 9 figures for major releases. Factor in distribution costs, prints, and the reality that most campaigns are front-loaded to maximize opening weekend, and suddenly, that $200 million movie needs $400 to $500 million worldwide just to see black ink. Ancillary revenue can rescue failures later, but banking on that is exactly how we got this summer's Bloodbath: the shocking collapse, Pixar's Elio. Let's start with the most stunning failure. Pixar's Elio opened to $21 million domestic, the weakest Pixar opening ever recorded. Not just weak for recent standards, ever. The film finished at $154 million worldwide against a $150 million production budget, meaning Disney lost roughly $50 to $75 million on theatrical alone. The second weekend dropped 49%, which sounds reasonable until you realize it was dropping from an already catastrophic base. Reviews were solid, 78% critics, 85% audiences, but families simply didn't show up. The film's gentle, conceptual premise about a boy mistaken for Earth's ambassador to an alien confederation never translated into must-see urgency. Here's what happened behind the scenes. Original director Adrian Molina crafted a version that Pixar insiders described as emotionally specific and identity-forward, but nervous executives worried about anything that might read as too niche systematically removed the elements that made Elio distinct. As one former crew member put it, "You remove the key piece about identity, and Elio becomes about totally nothing." The marketing reflected this creative confusion. Trailers showcased beautiful animation and a charming premise, but never answered the crucial question: why must families see this now instead of waiting for Disney+? Without that urgency, even Pixar's brand couldn't overcome streaming-conditioned parent behavior. What makes this particularly tragic is that Pixar had the elements for success. The voice cast was strong, the animation was gorgeous, and early test screenings showed genuine emotional connection. But in trying to appeal to everyone, they appealed to no one. The film's core message about accepting yourself got diluted into generic "be brave" messaging that could have come from any animated studio. The international numbers tell an even grimmer story. Elio managed just $133 million overseas, catastrophic for a Pixar release. Compare that to Turning Red, which despite its Disney Plus premiere, still earned $20 million internationally in limited release. Elio had full theatrical windows worldwide and couldn't crack what Turning Red achieved as an afterthought. The Marvel Meltdown, Fantastic Four, First Steps. Marvel's Fantastic Four represents everything wrong with modern tentpole economics. The film opened huge, $118 million domestic, then cratered with a 66% second weekend drop and an 80% Friday-to-Friday collapse. Worldwide gross hit $517 million against production costs exceeding $200 million, plus massive marketing spend. At those numbers, the film barely broke even. And that's the problem. When your success scenario is breaking even on a $500 million gross, your business model is broken. The film suffered from what we'll call IP exhaustion syndrome. Curiosity drove core fans to opening weekend, but word of mouth never expanded beyond the base. Superhero fatigue isn't just about too many movies. It's about too many movies that promise we're back, instead of we're doing something you've never felt before. Marvel's multipliers have been shrinking for years. Cinema scores are down from the brand's peak. Most critically, these films no longer generate the "you must see this in theaters" moments that drive repeat business. Fantastic Four delivered competent superhero action, but competent isn't enough when you need extraordinary. The deeper issue here is Marvel's creative bankruptcy. Kevin Feige's absence from Comic-Con wasn't just scheduling, it was symbolic. The studio that once made Iron Man feel like a revelation now treats every property like a content delivery system. Fantastic Four had talented actors, Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, but gave them nothing distinctive to do. The film's action sequences were technically proficient, but emotionally hollow. There was no equivalent to the first Iron Man's cave escape or the Winter Soldier's highway chase, no moment that made audiences lean forward and think, "I've never seen anything like this." The international breakdown reveals the franchise's global weakness. China contributed just $47 million, a disaster for a property that should have been four-quadrant. European markets were similarly soft, with the UK managing only $31 million and Germany contributing $18 million. These numbers suggest superhero fatigue isn't just an American phenomenon, it's global. The Arthouse Massacre. Eden. Ron Howard's Eden might be the summer's most instructive failure. Net budget of $35 million after Australian tax rebates, A-list cast including Ana de Armas, Jude Law, and Sydney Sweeney, and a true survival story that should have been catnip for adult audiences. Instead, $1.05 million opening on 664 screens, $2.3 million worldwide total. ROI of roughly 0.07. What went wrong? An 8-month gap between festival buzz and US release killed all momentum. Reports of online leaks muddied the film's reputation. Most critically, the marketing treated a survival thriller like an art house meditation, emphasizing atmosphere over urgency. Summer rewards lean survival stories when they have an undeniable hook. Think The Shallows or Gravity. Eden had the elements but never crystallized them into a single, compelling reason to choose theaters over waiting. The film's savage Lord of the Flies energy never came through in the campaign. The tragedy here is that Eden is actually a good movie. Howard crafted a genuinely unsettling exploration of how quickly civilization crumbles when resources become scarce. The performances are committed, the cinematography is stunning, and the story's historical basis gives it weight. But none of that mattered because the film was positioned as a prestige drama when it should have been sold as a survival thriller. The marketing materials emphasize the beautiful Galapagos locations and the star power, not the primal fear of watching people turn on each other when paradise becomes hell. The film's per-theater average of $1,580 ranks among the worst for a wide release featuring A-list talent. Even the Unholy Trinity, with its $560,000 opening, managed a better per-screen number. This suggests audiences weren't just unaware of Eden, they actively avoided it. The Auteur Trap. Eddington. Ari Aster's Eddington shows how even a 24's platform strategy can fail when timing goes wrong. The film cost $30 to $35 million and earned just $11 million worldwide, with a 60% second weekend drop and C+ cinema score indicating front-loaded interest. The core problem: releasing a dreamy Western dramedy 1 week after Jurassic World Rebirth and 1 week before Fantastic Four. Aster's fanbase expected dread. The film delivered quirky comedy. That mismatch isn't fatal, but it is when you're sandwiched between two four-quadrant marketing juggernauts. A 24's platform strategy works when buzz compounds across coastal markets and awards chatter builds momentum. In summer's crowded corridor, that oxygen gets consumed by giant tent poles with 9-figure marketing spends. Aster's pivot from horror to comedy might have worked in a different context. The film has moments of genuine wit, and the cast, Joaquin Phoenix, Pedro Pascal, Emma Stone, clearly relish the material. But Aster's audience comes for psychological terror, not whimsical Western hijinks. The film's pandemic setting and dark humor about isolation might have resonated in 2022. But by summer 2025, audiences wanted escapism, not reminders of recent trauma. The complete carnage, more disasters. Ballerina the John Wick spin-off opened respectably at $24.5 million, but dropped 65% in weekend 2, finishing at $137 million worldwide on a $90 million budget. The film inherited the franchise's choreography, but not its urgency. Without Keanu Reeves as the central draw, audiences waited. M3 GAN 2.0 moved from January horror to summer action comedy and paid the price. Opening at $10 million versus the original's $30 million, it finished at $38 million worldwide on a $25 million budget. The sequel diluted the original's meme-friendly menace, and summer competition multiplied the penalty. Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme executed a perfect platform strategy. $95,000 per theater on 6 screens, then expanded to $39.5 million worldwide on a $30 million budget. Strong reviews, dedicated audiences, but Anderson's lowest global result in 2 decades. Summer doesn't reward boutique scale-ups. The Life of Chuck, Stephen King's fantasy drama, earned TIFF's People's Choice Award, but finished at $16 million worldwide on a mid-teens budget. Great reviews, wrong season. Neon's platform campaigns need fall oxygen, not summer fireworks. Even micro-budget films found spectacular ways to fail. Witchboard, a $5 to $10 million horror remake, opened to $197,000 on 580 theaters and finished at $480,000 worldwide. Borderline managed just $240,000 worldwide on a $5 million budget. The summer's worst ROI. Hot Milk earned $520,000 worldwide against an $8 million budget. Splitsville hit $1.3 million domestic despite rave reviews. These failures share a common thread. They treated theatrical as a brief marketing moment for streaming rather than designing genuine theatrical experiences. The 3 root causes. Root cause number 1. IP fatigue plus brand misfires. When cost structures assume repeat business, but films deliver opening weekends without legs, the math collapses. Fantastic Four exemplifies this. Huge premiere, immediate cliff dive. Spin-offs and reboots aren't doomed, but they need singular promises that mainline entries aren't already making. Root cause number 2. Creative misreads. Elio softened into safety when it needed crisp identity. M3 GAN 2.0 abandoned the horror menace that made the original viral. When unique edges get sanded down, marketing has to work twice as hard, and it rarely can. Root cause number 3. Scheduling and distribution errors. Eddington didn't just pick a tough date, it picked 2 tough neighbors. Quiet concepts need quiet corridors, or release plans must sell urgency. Summer repeatedly asked Whispers to compete with explosions. 3 that could have been saved. Elio needed courage in its identity and a fall release window. Families respond to emotional specificity, not gentle concepts. Ballerina needed one marquee Keanu Reeves sequence in the marketing, and a spring corridor the franchise historically owns. The Life of Chuck needed to ride TIFF momentum into award season, not summer competition. The path forward. The playbook is clear. Write the sentence audiences will repeat, then build everything around it. Earn openings with unmistakable talk-about moments. Set costs to likely audiences, not fantasy ones. Respect corridor physics. Be honest about windowing strategies. Promise clarity beats brand inertia. People don't buy another chapter. They buy feelings they can name. Mid-budget originals remain viable with must-see angles or breathing room. If theatrical is truly a streaming prelude, design it that way and protect the spend. Summer 2025 taught us that waiting is death for theatrical runs. Where promises were specific and delivery exceeded them, movies won. Where they weren't, audiences waited. And in today's market, waiting means losing $500 million in 3 months. The question isn't whether studios will learn from this carnage. It's whether they'll learn fast enough to survive what's coming next.